Everyone, it's Stephanie and welcome back to Explore Your Dark Side. And I would like to shed some light onto the question that keeps rising on the internet. And this question is, how do I survive the Hogan test? How do I get the best results with the Hogan test? There's just so much wrong with this question, and I'm going to talk you through step by step. First, it's not a test. The Hogan assessment is not a test, it's an assessment. And I'm going to explain why. So, it would be a test if there would be the option of a right or wrong answer. There is no right or wrong answer, right? Because it is not a test. So, to make it more tangible for you, if we have a look, for example, at ability testing, which is the other side that is often assessed during interview processes in recruiting, etc. And this is something you can totally train for, you can prepare for, and you even should potentially train for. So this could be things like verbal reasoning, numerical reasoning. It could be different things that are testable, right? So there is a clear outcome, there is a right or wrong outcome. So, for example, if you have 1 plus 1, then the result is 2. If you write down 3, it's wrong. So these are the kind of tests you can prepare for. There's loads of books on how to prepare for those tests, on how to improve your results, etc. Loads of them are often like practice. So if you haven't been doing math in your head for a while, it may totally make sense to pick up one of those books and get prepared. With the Hogan assessment though, there is no right or wrong answer, simply because we're talking about personality. And within personality testing, we can't test right or wrong with a person, with a personality, right? So we can assess whether there is a suitability to a role or not. And this is exactly the point, because we assess whether this role suits you, whether it's good for you, or whether you might not be the right fit, is why you should answer those assessments honestly. Because if you keep faking it or trying to impress people, it won't work. And there's different reasons why this won't work. And this is reason number 2 as well. Hogan assessments have a built-in measurement for assessing faking or impression management. This means when you try to make a very good impression and try to be as appealing as possible for a job description, which is quite easily to be done, right? You read a job description and then you assess on, for example, if you have a sales role, a sales job spec, and you'd be like, oh, of course, I'm going to be extremely competitive and have a very strong business acumen. So I'm going to answer all the questions related to strong business acumen and a competitive force. The thing is though, during these assessments, you're going to have test and retest questions. And certified practitioners like myself, we are able to read out whether someone tried to make a very good impression. We call this impression management, or whether you even tried to fake it. So these are like the 2 main reasons for why there is no how to survive a Hogan testing or how to make a very good impression. First of all, because it's not a test, and second of all, because it's not even good for you, right? So if this is the measurement criteria why someone is recruited in or out for a role or for the company, then you don't want to fake that, because you want to answer it as honest as possible, simply because it will help you to find a role that makes you happy, or to find a company. For example, in the MBPI, this is the Modus Values Preference Inventory, which is often combined with the HPI and the HDS, which is the Hogan Personality Inventory. So how does you behave, or how are you being perceived by others in everyday situations, versus HDS, Hogan Development Survey, how are you being perceived by others in extreme situations or under pressure, so your dark side. So the MBPI does assess your mottos, values, and your preferences. So what is important to you, what makes you tick, what kind of environment to suit you. So, for example, if you're a person who is very strongly involved with traditions, who values security or safety, and who is very focused on long built structures, is happy when things have a tradition and people have certain routines, etc. Then working in a fancy tech startup with maybe high risk might not be the right thing for you, simply because you won't have peace of mind and you won't strive in this environment because it just doesn't fit you. So yeah, the question on how to survive a Hogan test or how to get the best results out of a Hogan test, to summarize, it is not a test, there is no right or wrong, there is a suitability to a role. And just as a disclaimer, as I know this might come up now, so yes, there is no right or wrong with personality. However, of course, there can be a right or wrong, or an unethical behavior and an appropriate behavior, etc. So we obviously do judge behavior, again, whether it's appropriate in the context, in the situation, etc. And obviously, dark side is all about where do you derail, so where do you overuse your strengths and are not performing effectively, efficiently. However, it's not that you are wrong or anything, right? It's not the personality that is wrong, but it's behavior that is not appropriate for a situation. And again, even then, it does make total sense to answer it as honestly as possible. So, for example, I just take it one step ahead. If you have a look at your dark side, if you have a look at your results from the HDS, right? So the Hogan Development Survey, behavior under pressure. If you are someone who becomes under pressure, quite micromanaging, so quite dutiful, diligent, then this might be even good or like more appropriate for areas like bookkeeping, accounting, etc. If you apply for a sales role, this might not be that great. Maybe becoming them more colorful under pressure might be more appropriate rather than being a micromanager, right? So even then, how much risk do you bring in? Yes, that is assessed, but also what is tolerable and who are you? And I would really highly recommend to see Hogan assessments in a development context or in a recruitment context as something that is a great tool for getting insights and becoming more self-aware, especially with the debriefing sessions, etc. But that is not something that you should try to succeed at or try to outperform, because that's just not what it's for and that's just not what it's good for. So for your own sake, for your own happiness, do not try to fake it or to make a very good impression, because it's measured. I hope you found that video useful, and I will see you soon again. Take care.